And we're live.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Lion's Lair.
Well, we've missed out doing a podcast for how many weeks now?
2 weeks now.
And
We had some technical difficulties.
Yes.
We had a few injuries and whatnot.
Yeah. But we're back.
We're back in action.
Back in the land of the living. And we have a handsome, young, successful entrepreneur from the Gold Coast.
Thanks,
Let's
man.
give it a round of applause.
JP.
Oh, hey, thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, I'd like to thank my mum and my dad. Oh, sorry.
And his name is Luke Maguire.
Welcome to that
Thank
land.
you guys for having me.
Welcome.
Now
Okay.
finally you're doing
now
the round of applause.
Very good.
After we finished already.
First ever guest on the podcast.
I
How
know.
do you feel?
I've just heard about that just now, so I'm excited. This is going to be fun. This is like this workplace environment and podcast. This is just the most casually fun, exciting podcast I've been on in a long time. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
very
With some
appreciated to be
Maker's
here.
Mark as well.
I know.
I
You
know.
guys are
Okay.
looking after me here, so I
That's
really
it.
appreciate all of you guys. Thank you.
Wait until you see the midgets that we've got organised later.
Oh, mate. I've seen
They're
one.
already under the table.
Oh, get him off, Josh. Get him off.
Easy. Don't bite too hard.
So a bit of a background on
Absolutely.
Luke.
Yep.
He has been in the software and tech space for I'd say over 10 years by now, wouldn't it be?
Yeah,
It's
I've
been
been
a
getting
long
around
time.
to that now, yeah.
Yep, long time. And mainly specialising in software development for social media platforms to help people cut through the noise and make it a lot more efficient for them to find the right ways to advertise through Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, I think you were saying as well.
TikTok as well? Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Almost everything. Grinder. No, I don't know that. But you never know.
Tinder.
That should be your next one.
What's that?
A Tinder application.
Yeah, maybe we'll give it a go.
Yeah, like filtering through all the baddies. Like,
It's quite interesting with these different dating apps. One of my friends, Alex, he founded a dating app called Zeus, and he sold it. I think it was about 3 years ago for $350 million. Banked $50 million net profit for himself just out of this one dating app. And the whole dating app space is crazy. Like, and I'll show this here, but. And if this goes viral, then I'll probably get in trouble. But I'm sure some people here watching would know Ty Lopez.
Yes.
He actually, prior to him being the Me and My Garage guy, he actually created a dating site as well. However, he was outsourcing all of the a lot of the people signing up, a lot of the women to India to make fake profiles to come onto the site to talk to dudes.
Wow.
And then it built up a lot of traction, and then lots of guys were on there then because they were seeing all these pretty women on there, but the women were just VAs essentially overseas.
Yeah.
And,
But really, his name was Bob.
yeah, exactly. yeah.
What's his last name?
Bob Gotcha.
But yeah, so then he sold that company with all these fake users on there.
Wow.
But he had this giant email list of men that were wanting to meet women and then try to be more successful, which is then how he started in the whole 67 Steps program that he sells still to this day.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
bit of a dodgy entryway, but he's somehow turned that into...
Alibaba was pretty similar. Like initially when they listed stuff on Alibaba, they were just buying their own stuff. Like the staff and the company bought the stuff that other people had listed to get like sales going and
Yeah,
stuff
to get
like that.
tractions going.
Oh, really? So like fake
Yeah, and
fake
if there was
traffic.
nothing listed, they're like, shit, let's list some stuff for sale.
Yeah.
And then we'll just buy it again. So it looks like there's stuff happening.
Yeah, of course. I think that's one of the way to get attention. Yeah.
100%.
And obviously, we're saying all this stuff without prejudice, obviously.
Oh,
Just in case Joe comes after us.
just in case. Talk to our legal team.
So, look, what do you... we'll start maybe off with, obviously, a bit of background about yourself. If you could give us a bit of an in-depth vision to who you are and what you've done, and then we'll ask you some questions and go from there.
Of course. So, so my name's Luke Maguire. I was born here on the Gold Coast. growing up, I was very just normal at everything, you know. Like I feel like there's a lot of stories out there where they seem like they to be from complete rags to riches, where that wasn't my case. I had a very normal upbringing, I guess. My parents didn't have much money, but my dad worked his butt off to send me to a good school here on the Gold Coast.
What school did you go to?
Somerset College.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't really fit in there. I basically, like everyone around me was so smart, I had scholarships and were very active, very book smart, I would say. But my dad was always traveling around the world basically. He's an event manager to afford to send me to this school, so I didn't get to see too much of him growing up. But I basically was the class clown, and I'm sure you were too, Andrew.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
I'd bounce with that there, bro.
I was actually the circus ringleader.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Me and Luke actually both have ADHD.
yes, we do.
True facts.
Yeah.
And we only recently found out.
Yeah.
Which is crazy
I was
to
probably
me.
like 23 or 22, 24.
I was 28. I was just like 2-3 years ago. Changed my life when I did find out that. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But so yeah, well,
Definitely talk about
yeah, it's really interesting. So I went to school here and basically didn't just learn how to be a bit of a dick in class and make people laugh, right? And didn't take it too seriously. There was nothing I was really interested in school. And then when I at Somerset, they basically teach you to go to university, get a job, and go down that path, which is the safe option, right? Obviously, if schools taught you to be an entrepreneur, the majority of people would fail in school. School wouldn't be a business model for them, right? But I still went to university. So I got an OP17 when I finished school, which is basically top 5 worst percent of like Australia, basically, my grade. But
I think I got 18.
Yeah, okay. So
Top 5%.
so yeah, I guess you win in a losing way. Yeah.
Biggest loser.
Yeah. I couldn't get into any universities except for Bond, where basically if you have the money to pay to go study it, you can then study. It doesn't mean you'll get the degree, you still have to pass it. But so I went to university. I did somehow pass my degree, but all I really learned was how to drink beer and how to talk to girls. And
What was that degree in again?
so I did just a business degree. The classic thing you do when you finish uni, you don't know what you want to do. A lot of people just get a business degree.
Probably one of the best ones to probably get if you don't really know.
If you don't really know,
Because business is pretty broad.
Sure, and in that I majored in marketing and minored in entrepreneurship there. So finishing that though, I still was just as lost as I was before, if not more, because I had 100 grand. It was 70 grand at the time, uni debt, which then over the years and inflation and whatnot, I went up to over 100 grand. So I finished that degree and then I started applying for marketing jobs, just anything and everything, to the point of a Red Bull guy to hand out Red Bull cans, and everyone said no. So yeah, 80 plus jobs, and it was just like it was a real low point in my life. I was working in a car park fortnightly, parking cars at the football stadium here, the Titan Stadium, in the VIP car parks, and watching these beautiful cars come in, and people they were so rude to you just because you're wearing a high-vis vest. And
Told you not to do that.
yeah. So I was working there, and it was a pretty low point in my life, and I then wanted to. I couldn't get a job, so what I decided to do was go out and see what I could start as a business. I did a business degree. A part of it was entrepreneurship, so I said, what can I do in this space? So at this point, it was around 2008, 2009, when MySpace was still around then. So there wasn't really a social media marketing world back at this point in time. But in my university degree, we did one subject called internet marketing. It was a brand new subject. And the university gave us each group $500 to do Facebook ads for a local business, and Facebook ads were brand new at this time as well. So we got to spend someone else's money and advertise someone's business, and we got some traffic that was going through, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like, there was no real advertising on social media prior to that on MySpace or anything. So, and I really enjoyed this concept because it was, I think, one, because it was easy and lazy. I could send people to an offer or a page or whatever from home and in bed. And it was very like primitive back then compared to what it is now, and how AI and everything's taken over a lot more. But I said to myself, why don't I start going out to businesses and see if they want to do social media marketing, which obviously, I feel like every third person now is kind of doing that now. But back then, I would walk into businesses and they would just laugh at me. They would just say, Facebook, that's for kids. MySpace is for kids. Facebook's just like MySpace. We don't need to be on Facebook, and then I would just get rejected, and it's a good learning curve at the time as well, because I would learn how to pitch something better and how to really get my message across. And as at this point though, all I knew how to do was basically a basic Facebook ad, how to make a basic website with WordPress and a few other basic things. And I was just kind of trying to BS my way in and then learn when I got in there. So I had my marketing skills from when I learned at uni, but no real world experience. So eventually though, I started to get clients, started building them up.
Question: with the marketing, when you did obviously your marketing degree with the university, was that marketing for social media? Because social media probably wouldn't have been around then.
It was just a general marketing major. There was no social media, and it was like old school guerrilla marketing, like banners and amblers and.
So you just applied the principles of what you'd learnt through uni and adapted them into the digital world.
Exactly right. Yeah.
What kind of businesses did you hit up, and like how'd you contact them?
I went into places from literally like the local cafes. I would just walk in the doors. I wouldn't even call up, because I'd find they would just hang up on me all the time.
More face to face.
Yeah, more face to face, and I learned to actually connect with people and talk to people, and I realised that was a skill set I was always pretty good at, is making friends and making other people engage with what I'm talking about and whatnot. So I would go in there, so from local cafes to nightclubs to surgeons to literally anyone that would talk to me, and then I started getting some pretty cool clients from. I had Lee Kernaghan, who's like probably Australia's biggest country music artist ever. He's won Australian of the Year and stuff like that. I then got a bunch of cricket players like Matthew Hayden, who was probably Australia's best batsman. I started doing a Merrill campaign on here on the Gold Coast at one point, but then the guy that was running for mayor, he got involved in this sex scandal that got leaked last second, so I just ran away from working for him after that.
You got away from him?
Yeah. He didn't get me though. Yeah, that's right. I'm fast.
That's good.
I know. I ran like Kathy Freeman at the 2000 Olympics, mate. It was gone.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
And I started getting a lot of clients, and it was going good, but I guess at the same time,
How much were you charging them?
Yeah, this is the thing. I was charging nothing, and I was over-delivering my time. I was just trying to get anyone to say yes.
Yeah.
I guess at this point, with so little validation from jobs rejecting me and everyone rejecting me, I just wanted to show that I could do it, or they could accept it, so then I could. They would accept me, and then I could show them what I could do. So when I started working with Matt Hayden, I really undercharged. Then I was paying $500 a week, working from 7 a.m. till 8 at night with him personally. It was a bit of a PA job as well as a social media marketing, and then I would do my clients after that. But I found at this time I had no time left. I was getting underpaid, my fault because of that, and I was really over-delivering. So I said to myself, how can I actually start to free up some time here in this space? And at this point, I was dating this girl at the time, and she, before Instagram marketing was a thing as well, and before the term influencer was there, she had a big following, and she was waking up every morning at 4 a.m. to post to Instagram at prime time for her American audience, and I was just absolutely getting sick of waking up so early every single morning. At the same time, back then with one phone, you could only log into 5 Instagram accounts at once. And you have to log in and out of them. You couldn't add multiple Instagram accounts in your phone.
Back then,
you had to log in and out of them individually. But once you hit 5 accounts, your phone will get bricked essentially. You couldn't log into any more. So I had 15 clients, which means I had to have 3 phones to manage their Instagrams. I looked like this dodgy drug dealer. It looked really bad. And I'm like, surely there's a way I can like schedule this stuff from the computer. It means I can sleep in, and it means I don't need to be looking like a drug dealer anymore. So. At this point, though, I didn't have much savings. I had a bit of savings, but I sold everything I owned because I was following these 2 internet marketers online, and they just launched this software that did something for SEO, for Google rankings and whatnot. They made like $700,000 in a week for an intangible software. I'm like, how do you do this? So I reached out to them, said I've got this idea. I just need help on how to launch it and how to actually get how to get it in as many people's hands as possible. So I sold everything I owned. These 2 guys agreed. They said, we'll help you, but it's going to cost you $40,000. It's going to then take 30% of your actual software launch that we're going to keep, but we're going to teach you everything we know. So I said, well, I have nothing else to lose. I'm like, this is what I want to do. So I sold my car, I moved back home, I sold my TV, PlayStations, everything, moved back home with the family. And this was a big thing, I think, with the ADHD brain as well, which we can talk about later, how that can make you do things because you strive to get dopamine hits and impulsive and whatnot. But this was probably the best decision I ever made to do this. Moved back home, and then I went with them. They taught me how to actually get software built, how to get people to promote your product as affiliates, and people refer traffic to my product, and I pay them a commission for the referral of the sale and whatnot. And we launched this product called Instamate, which was the world's first tool to post, schedule, and find content for Instagram from your computer. Where now there's heaps of tools that you can post your computer from Instagram, but this was the first tool that ever allowed you to do that. And we launched it, and it did over $1 million in launch week, which just blew my mind. We had over 15,000 customers in 5 days. And I went from 15 clients with not much money, because I was charging everything wrong, to this crazy amount of money for me that I'd never really seen this much money in my life. I've never been around me.
Did you get a tidal wave shock for customer support when you had that many customers?
Oh, mate,
I want to
it
hear
was
about
crazy.
this. Because most people, obviously, a lot of people, when they hit high levels of success and they get a lot of clients, it's like a tidal wave of humans, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And the customer support that would have been involved with 15,000 new customers would have been out of control. Tell us a bit about that. What happened there?
Yeah, so like when I went to launches, I didn't think it was going to do huge numbers that it did. Obviously, a lot of other people had girlfriends that were waking up at stupid hours and wanted to sleep as well, like I did. So then they were buying this product left, right, and centre. But you're right, we had so many customers coming in, and then especially with the low ticket field. So when you're charging $47 for a product, I often find that people that pay less expect more.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
That's what it is,
right?
isn't it?
Yeah, so, and I'd have people that would just be saying the most crazy things, and I was trying to do all the support myself. Back then, I didn't know how to delegate. Obviously, if someone can do something 70% as good as you, but it saves you 5 hours a day, it's better to do that so you can spend your time scaling your business in other areas, right? But at this time, I had my 2 developers that were doing support. They were over in India, and then I got them just to get all their mates to come work for them any hours they can to answer support tickets at the time. It was chaotic. It was a joke. And but we got through it in the end, but then I actually had to go out and find actual people to employ to do my support. And this is a trick that I do. Are you guys familiar with Upwork or Freelancer? Those sites, right? Yeah. So one thing I always do there, if you ever post any job, if any of you guys watching, if you ever post a job on these platforms, you'll find within an hour you probably have 20 different responses from people, but it's just copied and pasted crap. So they're just trying to they'll say yes to whatever it is you're asking, even if they don't even know what you're asking, right? So what I always do now is I write in the middle of the text of my proposal, I'll say, please respond, say please respond as your first sentence with 3 Australian animals, just so I know you've read this. Right. And then instantly, wait for a day or 2, and you instantly can just scroll through and get rid of like 90% of the responses that haven't taken the time to
smart.
That's smart.
Things like that, so like it really helps. So if anyone uses Upwork or any freelancing site, give it a go.
That's good advice.
That's a good tip for our audience.
So I guess from there, so that software went really well, and then I was like, okay, well, this is like, I still have my clients. I didn't want to let go of them because I would have felt bad at the time. So I said, okay, what else can I automate? What else can I free up time with now? And I started going more and more into other software avenues, from like the first Facebook Live syndication software. So say if I went live on my Facebook fan page, I wanted it to go to live to 5 other of my fan pages, my profile. I wanted to get shared to my Twitter, a message to get sent out to any text message numbers I have, an email going out to all my emails. So the second I go live, it syndicates it out everywhere. So we created that tool. It's called Live Leap. Most recently created a tool called Advert Suite, which is the world's biggest Facebook, YouTube, Google, and Instagram ads library in the world. So it has every single Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube ad that anyone's ever done. So anyone that has Advert Suite, they can go in. Say I was a real estate agent here on the Gold Coast, I could search the word any competitor. So say competitor might be, say, Ray White, or I could even enter a specific, like any page or anything. But say I typed in Ray White, I'd be able to see every single ad from every Ray White agent ever posted on Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube, and then filter it from the most engaged, the most click-throughs. You can see the interactions, the ones that have been running the longest, and you can see that it breaks down the demographic of the people that have engaged. For example, their age groups, like like what gender they are, things like this. So then when you go to replicate the ads that work, you know of the people that actually have engaged with the ad, so you can enter that and whatnot.
Yeah.
And how do we buy that product?
Just go to advertsuite.com. I'll shoot you guys a discount code or something. Yeah.
So our viewers would be interested. To find
Yeah.
out as well.
I'll give you guys a coupon code or something. I'll give you guys a free copy here as
We'll
well.
put the links and details on this video.
Yeah, cool.
See, there you go.
There
Put
he
the
is,
links.
there you go. Affiliate links, sure.
Actually, you should give us a swipe up so JP can finally fulfill his swipe up dreams.
Yeah.
And Josh, I know Josh didn't want to do it for a while as well. He's been wanting to swipe up.
I want to do the swipe up.
Yeah. So and then my most recent software, which launched about 3 weeks ago, it's called Profile Mate. It basically is a tool for Instagram that allows you to get, like on Instagram, 1 in 10 users have their email address public in their actual bio as a button. So, and more people are adding that there. And for someone to add that there, they have to give permission for any other Instagram users to email you. So I thought to myself, okay, well, say I went to Tony Robbins' Instagram page, all his followers would be an audience that might want to engage with me. But I can go through all of his followers one by one if I wanted to. Instagram's unlike any other platform where you can go into any Instagram account, see who's following them. Whereas on Facebook fan pages, you can't do that.
Right.
But if I went through every single person that followed Tony Robbins, then just to see who had their mobile number or their email as public for me to click the button and email them, it would take forever. So I created a tool that you just basically enter your own page or any competitor page, and it'll go through all of those, any followers of any page that you enter, pull the information that's public and that you're allowed to use, like the emails, numbers, websites, stuff like that, to allow you to get it.
This is some crazy shit, man. Remarketing, targeting is off the.
Yeah, because you'll be able to, as you would know, with your audience targeting and selecting, instead of now advertising to a random population, now you can advertise to only people that are interested in real estate, only people that are interested in entrepreneurship, only people that are interested in motivational speaking. So from a retargeting point of view as well, it'd be incredible. All right, yeah. So you were saying that obviously you were scraping all the data off people's profiles, and then building audiences with that as well, and also being able to build a bit of a database. And what would people normally use for that database?
As in, what do you mean? What would normally use for? As in, like, how would you use that database?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, So Profile Mate basically analyzes any Instagram profile. Like we were talking about it just before. It'll go through their followers. It's not actually scraping though, because that's just a dirty word.
Yeah, it is.
But we actually had to get this approved. Like,
Gathering information.
like at the point where I'm at now, I can't do anything black hat. I had to get this approved through Instagram because it is public info, and with all, I was surprised that the terms allowed you to email people and use these emails, but because if you put your email in your Instagram account as a button, you have to abide by the terms, which is anyone can actually email you. So
That's the whole point of putting the button.
yeah, exactly right. But people's like obviously, like if there's a lot of laws around email marketing and whatnot, and different autoresponders will have different laws related to cold email lists and whatnot. But basically, so say for example, if I was like again, was huge real estate is a good example. We put we could search for everyone on the Gold Coast if you wanted to. It doesn't just do competitor profiles. It does locations as well. So I could target everyone in Sanctuary Cove, everyone in Surfers Paradise, everyone on the Gold Coast. Get a giant email list of users, as in on average 1 in 10 users has their email. So on a million people here that million followers, we would have about 100,000 emails, and then we would reach out to them, and it's with cold email marketing, so they've never heard from you before. So if you're ever doing any form of cold email marketing, I always say when you write the email, stop and then have a look at what it would look like if you were the customer receiving it, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's all about providing value first. If cold email marketing, if you ask for anything directly, they're going to delete you, they're going to unsubscribe. So it's about how do you provide as much value first. And I think that's a good business tip for anyone is money is always a byproduct of value. If you're always trying to focus on making money for yourself, for most people it won't really happen. But as soon as you switch the mindset on how can I provide as much value to someone else first, money is always going to be a byproduct of that.
100%.
So,
I'm a big advocate of value.
yeah, so say for example, if it was you reaching out to you on the Gold Coast, we'd say, hey, look, just want to touch base, letting you know that we're here at 50 Cavill have, and if you would ever love to come in, and we can offer you. I find with cold email marketing, if you can offer them something, the response in that's amazing. Whether it's a free appraisal, whether it's a free whatever it might be, or just give some value first, and then ask questions. People are amazed. And this is just a good social media tip in general. By asking a question in an update, it's actually like the response rate you'll get from engagement to a lower ad cost. Even on ads, if you ask a question in it, people are going to respond because it makes it a two-way conversation. I know it sounds super simple, but often people will do an update about it. It might be a quote or it might be something that they've done in the day, but it's not trying to engage them in a two-way relationship. If they like it enough, they'll engage. But by simply asking a small question, you will see a giant response back in terms of ad costs going down, or if you're doing an ad, and engagement going up overall as well. So, but in cold email marketing, this is true as well. Ask questions and show that you're interested in them first. That's instantly going to build a rapport. And the other thing as well with profile made in these emails that we get from this from Instagram, we know what they're engaged in. If I know someone's following Tony Robbins, or if I know someone's following a celebrity here, or if I know someone that's following a sporting team, whatever it is, say it was the Suns, Gold Coast Suns or something, I know that that's an AFL fan, and I can then build rapport around that. Or if, for example, I could even, like I was doing an example for a guy that has a dog store for Labradors. So I said, okay, well, let's search for the hashtag #MyLabrador. And then it shows you lists of literally millions of people that are posting their Labrador, right? So I can go through that, get all their emails of the people I have in public, and say, oh my God, I've come across your profile. I see that you've got a beautiful Labrador. You're instantly building rapport by complimenting, and we can actually, they're not actually a cold lead. You can actually, you know about them because you know where they came from, so you can actually build a lot of information that way too. So basically, that's my business in terms of software side of things, and it was based around. It was originally about working with B2B, so business to business, and we've got some big clients. I've got Pepsi as a client, ANZ, UNICEF, a bunch of other big ones. But over time, when money became not as much of a motivator as I thought it did. I really then went to working, and my passion is working with people, individual people, people that hate their jobs, people that just hate what they're doing, going through the monotonous cycle of life, and then trying to show them how they can actually create a profitable online business, whether it's through e-com, local marketing, affiliate marketing, or their own offline business that they might already have. And seeing them make that transformation is what really, really excites me now and which drives me in life. A couple of years ago, when I got to this point where I made quite a bit of money, I did quite well, but I then had this breakup with my ex-partner, and then I went out. I was saying to you earlier how I went down this party animal train, being like, okay, well, I had no money before, I had no money before, now I've got all this money. I reckon it was probably worse. Oh, actually, no, I don't know if I'd say worse, but pretty bad, I don't know. Let's just say I pulled myself into a psychiatrist, and I said, mate, I'm fucked. I don't know what I'm doing with my life right now. I was buying, I bought a Lamborghini, which I love. Like, I know you got a beautiful Lamborghini as well, but I bought it just after I broke up with my partner, and I was telling myself, I'm not filling a hole here, when I definitely was filling a hole, even though I'd always wanted one.
Filling holes after.
It helped me fill holes, if you want to say that.
The whole fill-up. And this ad was sponsored by Lamborghini.
And make us mad.
So but then doing that, and then I lived in this giant, like 4-story house. It was this crazy place. Like,
And now you're back to a giant 4-story
yeah, I am
house
actually.
on
But,
hedges.
it's probably half the size. It sounds similar, but it's not. But people would know my old house, like, cause I don't know, the guy that owned it, out of control. He had like rainbow lights in all the rooms, like every room. So you could take, you'd be on the toilet, and you'd be in a rainbow, or you go to bed. Like it sounds cool, like if you're Austin Powers, but living in it is not as you think. And it got to this point where my house was like a walk-in Airbnb. People were just walking, and I was like fiending off it. But I fiending off all these people being there and giving me all this attention and all these. But it was just out of control because when the party stopped, no one was there, right? And
it got lonely.
And I was really So then I party again, and then before you know it, it was almost every day. And I was just needing this validation of people and more and more and more. And I kept on acting like how in control I was, but I really was broken inside inside out of control. I didn't know what made me happy. So I was filling my world with false dopamine. It's really just fake dopamine from people around me and everything I was doing that it got to a point where I just had to make a decision. I remember just waking up, I was like, I don't want to blur this feeling out anymore. I need to face this. So I went to a psychiatrist and I said, mate, I don't know why I'm like this right now. Like my values are not being what I'm doing. I'm not someone that wants just to go and just sleep with like any hot chick I can find, even though Andrew would probably lie. Back in the day it was a bit different, but now...
No comment at all.
Yeah.
You're a good guy with good
I am a
morals and
good
good
person,
values.
but sometimes my impulsivity made actually has slipped me up in the past, right?
All I'm going to say and comment about this is he's had plenty of hot girls in his life. Previously, girlfriend-wise, that's all I'm going to say. I don't know about any other single girls. I'm not going to comment on that.
So then when I went to a psychiatrist, I got diagnosed with ADHD, which essentially people think it is just a hyper kid running around the room screaming, where it's not. It's essentially a dopamine imbalance in the brain, which means your body doesn't produce dopamine as well as someone that doesn't have ADHD. So for me, doing things I hate, it triggers no value, so I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And this shows why I was doing these giant risks, things like from selling my everything I own, moving back home, to and investing all my money into my business, to then on the flip side just booking trips to Vegas. It would literally be like this: have a few drinks and then I say, let's go tomorrow. And then I'd be gone. No one else ended up booking because I thought, I'll book. I promise you, I'm booking. I'm in, and then
They're gone. I missed the old look.
So
Like when he at the airport, where's Luke? He's running late.
Watching this.
oh no.
How long ago was it?
So this,
the psychiatrist?
so I started it probably about 3 years ago now. 3 years ago, and then I said, and the way I justified it, I was making more money every day than I was spending, and I was probably spending thousands of dollars a week on bad habits for me and for everyone that was partying with me.
Figure. We're talking $1 grand.
Nah, probably like $4 or $5 grand at times. And it was just getting out of control. But I was making more money than I was spending every day. That I was like, you know what? As long as that's the case, there's no problem.
But if you've got an ATM in front of you, it's spitting out notes. You just keep grabbing it and keep doing punches. So I've got a question for you. What you think the most money you've spent on stupid shit so far in your life? Whether it be a Vegas trip, spending an amount, whether it be trying to impress a girl, whether it be trying to a big party that you did, something like juicy. What do you think is the most stupidest thing you bought or spent money on?
Probably, well, I would say my ex-girlfriend. Like, she was fucking expensive.
I like that.
I think a lot of people can.
No, but the thing is, like, I'm all about giving gifts and I love it, and I don't regret it. But like my previous girlfriend, I'm not here to rip on her because at the end of the day, but she did some things that were quite questionable that you would
Please
never.
don't try to search her name.
You wouldn't do these things to people, but it happened. And if I knew those things were happening, I never would have done those gifts and whatnot. But I give freely, and it makes me feel good when I can give. But just due to the situation on the other side, when me not knowing the truth at this point in time, how things really were, probably wouldn't have done that. Or I remember I spent like 60 grand in Vegas one night, which was a bad. But I had always marketers around me, and I was just trying to. And it's crazy, like how you start justifying things in the minute. It's a tax deduction. It's a tax deduction. It's a tax deduction. You're still spending your fucking money. It's like,
$90 bill. It's for business.
I bought an infrared sauna last week, and I said that's for business. I said I'll film a sales video in it, and I'll claim it as an expense.
So the Vegas trips.
Vegas trips like that.
Bit of insight into that. What happened? Obviously not too much, but just like maybe top 3 things that happened in Vegas, or any big parties you did. What sort of hotels you go to?
Yeah, like.
Or meet famous people.
What's that?
Was it just on any famous?
No, so it was actually, I was actually there, I was speaking at this event, and it was, he's snapping Snapchat, you know something's going on when you got Snapchat happening, don't you?
That might be a grinder update.
Yeah. So I guess, I went over, I was speaking at this event in Orlando, and my ex-girlfriend, I was with her at the time. She was in Australia, and I said, "Look, I'm going to America. I'm only going to be quick." And I was over there, but it was at this point I was pretty she was not the one for me. I knew it in my head. I was not really into it anymore, but I just couldn't end it at the point in time. But I was like, I'm just going to go away, do some work. And it was crazy. She was the most attractive, She was a model. She was on covers of magazines and stuff, but she was very insecure inside at the time. And I hope she's not now, but I feel back then she was. And it was crazy. Like, I'm just like an average dude, and she's like this supermodel chick, but she'd freak out if I went away, think I'm going to cheat on her and all this stuff. And so I went to... I was in Orlando when this happened, and then I went to Vegas, and then two of my friends from Canada, they came down to surprise me, two girls from the Gold Coast, but they were living in Canada. And then my ex saw that, and she lost her shit. So when someone calls me more than once, I will just throw my phone away, because I'm like, if I don't answer the first time, it means I'm not going to answer right now. I'll call back at a certain time.
Yeah.
And I just heard it keep on going off and off and off, and I got so anxious. And I said to my friends that were there, I go, fuck it, let's just go out. I need to get pretty drunk. So we went out. I remember I've got this video somewhere on my phone. It was 30 grand in Omnia, in this club they're called Omnia.
Yeah.
I had fucking marching bands with drums. I had
Sounds like
Taiwan.
Sounds like Taiwan.
There's a club in Taiwan called Omnia.
yeah.
Exactly right. Same name.
Yeah.
Same name.
I had this
Same name.
angel come from this trapeze down from the sky with this big bottle. I had bloody my name on the screen with Tiesto underneath it, and I'm like, this is fucking nice. And then after that, I ended up going back to my mate Buck. He calls himself Buck Nasty. He's a Chippendale. Buck Nasty. Yeah. Oh, and like, yeah, I hope so. He's on a lot of gear. I reckon he's going to probably pass out any day of the week. But yeah, Buck Nasty. Yeah. He always goes, my name's Buck, and I like to fuck.
Very, very.
Yeah, so yeah, after that, but then my girlfriend was still calling, had like 100 and something missed calls, and I was like, fuck, and I wasn't in a good state to be talking. So I answered, and I'm like, what do you want? And she's like, you fucking blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, it's okay, I'll fly you here tomorrow, and then because I didn't want to get roasted, so I flew her there the next day, but like I was at the point of no return, so I kept on partying, and then... And then she got there, and I was too hungover, and I missed. I felt so bad. This is a dick move, so I apologise to you if you're watching this. I missed picking her up from the airport. She walked into the hotel on her own. She had to find the hotel, like where I was, what room, and everything. And I was so hungover, and then I was like, "Fuck! Like, what have I done?" And I was probably 25, 26 at this stage. Again, it was when I first came into money, I was spending money stupidly. But then after that, the following day I was speaking at an event. Ty Lopez just spoke, then it was me, and then it was Grant Cardone after me. It was at Mandalay Bay. But and it was like my first big talk. It was like 10,000 people there or something. But like I was essentially just like the fluffer in between, so they don't put too big back to back. Basically, a lot of the room was left when I went on because they didn't really know him. I'm this kid from Australia that 25 years old then. But then I realised my girlfriend at the time disappeared. And she was out getting drunk at one of the pool parties with one of my mates that runs the pool party, Wet Republic there. Wow. So then I got pissed off, and then I went out again and started partying by myself, even though I flew my partner to Vegas. So it was just a bad situation as a whole. So that was the most expensive probably night or couple of days of my life there, but it was horrible. I've learned a lot of lessons.
Give me the money.
And trust me, I've been back to Vegas like many times since, and it's never been like that. I know a lot, and I guess from going to the psychiatrist, it's interesting. I would tell my psychiatrist these stories like this, and he would just look at me just going, like, what the fuck is like? Like, doesn't know how to answer them. But then I got diagnosed with ADHD. My whole world just became clear. The way I explain it is like I look like my life was like a pair of headphones, right? You know, when you put a straight pair of headphones, my life was going straight, it was great. And then I put them in your pocket, and they come out and they're fucking tangled in 4,000 ways. And then you're like, okay, I know I can untangle this and get the right road, but right now I'm just doing this, trying to figure out how to straighten them back out again. And back when I went and saw the psychiatrist, I learned so much about like who I was as a person. And I think that's the thing a lot of people don't know is who they really are. Like, what are their true values? A lot of people know what they want in a partner. They don't know what they bring to the table themselves and who they are. So learning about that, learning about my ADHD, learning about this dopamine deficiency, learning about emotional intelligence, learning about all this area really just made me go, okay, wow. I now know who I am again. I know what my values are. I know what I want to be doing now, because at that point in time I lost a lot of passion working. So finding that out really helped, and then also realised that my ex-girlfriend, who had ADHD as well, 2 ADD people in a relationship are really bad. Yeah, like you'll fight for no reason to get dopamine hits, because dopamine comes from good and bad things. And it's crazy. I actually watched this. I think I was telling you, Andrew, about it. The guys that actually sold my car to mentor me online. His name's Alex Becker, and he just did this thing called, you know him? Yeah. He did a thing called the Alex Becker. It was like a 60-day dopamine detox, where he and this guy went so extreme though. He had this multi-million-dollar house. He had his hot girlfriend. He had Lambos. He had all this stuff, and then he just goes nuts. So he dumps his girlfriend, sells his house, sells the Lambo, everything inside of it. He just gives it to the removalist. Doesn't sell any of it. Probably $1 million plus of shit. He gives it to him. Moves to like Mississippi or somewhere else, like where no one just a 1-bedroom apartment, where it goes full minimalist, and then does 60 days of no dopamine, because everything we're doing now is giving false dopamine signals in our brain, right? Instagram, Facebook, notifications, like anything, right? Having a drink, anything is going to give you dopamine, and the more you're doing like false dopamine signals, the more things that you should be doing every day you're not, because they're not exciting to you anymore. So he goes to the extreme of doing no bad food, no watching Netflix, no TV, no phone, no friends, no wanking, like absolutely nothing.
Wow. That's it, I'm out.
You can't even hold it for 1 hour.
Probably already have one under there with the midget under there.
Not other people.
So I think the thing is, when I found out all these things about me and who I was as a person, it made the rest of my life a lot more easy, because I knew my values and I knew what really drove me to do what I love to do again, and that's how I found my passion again. While I do social media and software development and marketing and whatnot, that's the vehicle I use for my passion. My passion's helping people and seeing people get results, and me helping them get a result that without my tools that I created, the training that I've taught them, they wouldn't have actually been able to do previously. I guess the biggest story or the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of customer testimonials, I was in Vegas at that event I was just talking about. This lady came up to me and she was like this, and I was like, looked at her, and she didn't say anything, and she said, so I walked out of the auditorium with her, and she had an iPad, and I walked down and she hit play, and then Siri started speaking, saying, "Hi Luke, my name's Sandra. Over the past 2 years, I've purchased all your products and implemented what you've taught. I don't actually have a voice box, so I can't speak. But from what you've taught me, I've been able to create a 6-figure a year income online." And I was crying and she was crying, and it was just the most beautiful thing ever.
That's awesome.
And that's what my psychiatrist said to me. He said, "What was the biggest impact someone's done? Why you love what you do?" And I just think of that whenever I get down, whenever I get bored. That's what I think of, and it drives me.
Gave me goosebumps.
back again. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's cool.
Almost cried. So like through all the craziness and making all the money and stuff, like what would you say you found is your purpose now? Like what's the thing that keeps you drive?
What makes you get up in the morning before 12?
Yeah. I think it's two things. Like, I think it's to constantly prove to myself that I can do things that everyone once doubted me for, my school doubted me for. I love being able to prove to myself that I can create things that have never been done before. That gives me self-fulfillment. But again, my main fulfillment is really just seeing other people get a result, or my impact on their life. And it's always been that way. Before I made money, I was literally at this nightclub down the road that used to be a platinum every single weekend. And I didn't have a dollar to my name, but I knew the owner. I had this special silver car that I could get 20 people in and free drinks and all this stuff. And that was my way of getting validation. But it was interesting from where getting validation to feel happy internally from being how I was, where that's how I was, to where I am now, is where I'm purely happy internally for who I am as a person, as my core root values is like makes me just happy as a person. And I think it's really important as well. Just I wake up every day with some future goals in mind, but I think a lot of people put their happiness in the future. It's like a goalpost, and if they say, I'm only going to be happy when I get a car, when I get this house, when I do this, when I get the girlfriend, and and that's how I used to be. And even though I heard this type of thing, like you're not going to be happy with stuff, I had to get to it to realize that it doesn't truly make me happy. So I think it's important to have goals ahead of you and be like, I'm going to be excited and happy when this happens, but what can you be happy with every single day in the present moment? Like right now, I'm really happy with you guys here, and I hope you guys are watching this happy too.
Cheers to that.
Well, I will say something about what you're saying there, Luke, and I really resonate with that because I found the exact same thing in my life. I always had these big goals ahead of me, and even when I hit those goals, there were goals ahead of those that I wanted to hit. And I was constantly, forever, chasing the rainbow, constantly. There was always something's better on that other side, and constantly looking for that next goal to crush. Like you said, the problem with that is you don't have time to stop and smell the roses. And you don't have... and there's only a minute or an hour or a week where we are with our goal that we've reached, the Lamborghini purchase. We feel the leather, we smell the leather, we see the reactions from other people, and then it stops. And then you go to the next stop. And the 3 years, the 5 years that it took to get there, you were unhappy because you weren't where you wanted to be, which is the future. So I completely fucking resonate with that, like 110%. Like couldn't have resonated with it anymore. Yeah.
It's a big lesson I learned, but it took me a while. But you know, and I think a lot of people, especially with the social media world, we're always like people looking for validation, even in just simple consumerism. You know, if we all went out and bought a new shirt, we'd go out with a different vibe than if we'd worn that shirt twice. You feel good the first time you wear that shirt. People probably compliment you on it, and even if you haven't seen them in months. If you see someone else that you haven't seen in months, the next time you wear that shirt, they're not going to say anything about your shirt, right? So it just shows how this consumer market has got their claws into us like that. So being aware of things like that I find is really important. And it's interesting to me to say that because I am a marketer, so that's kind of my job. But it's always finding that balance of how can I ethically feel like I'm giving real value. And that's why I only sell things that I believe is going to
So true, man. I had this conversation with my partner on the weekend, and when you said that, it was like a smack in the face, exactly what Andrew was saying. I've always said, I'll be successful, I'll feel successful and happy when I have that Ferrari, a red Ferrari, when I have this, when I have that, and I'm never happy. But when we spoke about it on the weekend, this sounds a bit mushy, whatever, but we spoke to each other and we said, we've never loved each other so much now, cared about each other so much now than we ever have in our life, not life, in the 7 years of being together. And we said to ourselves, we've now got that side, we now have to work together to build the other side, you know what I mean? And we just wondered how. And when you said that, I was like, fucking spot on, because that's all I focused on. It wasn't until this weekend I went, fuck, we've got what we wanted.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
there. We got each other, we love each other more than anything on the planet. No one will ever stand in our way. Now we just got to figure out the other side, and we'll get there.
Right.
And you're just constantly focused on what you don't have. Constantly. It's like, you know, even like with your guys' development, it's like, you know, you want the development done, that's all that you care about, blah, blah, blah. And then when you finally, you know, get the investor on board or you do the development, then it's the next development. And it's just constantly so fucking important. I can't stress this anymore, to stop and smell the roses. Don't worry about next week because it is never promised. Don't worry about next year. What are you grateful for now? Think about your life compared to someone else's life that's terminally ill, that literally has a week left in their life or can't walk or has just been in a horrific car accident, and they've got real issues that are going on while you're complaining about you didn't get the latest Lamborghini sort of thing, or you didn't get the latest deal, marketing deal, or you didn't get the latest, you know, Lamborghini, etc. So I think for all the viewers and us as well, stop and smell the roses. Stop chasing rainbows. Rainbows are great, and the pot of gold is at the rainbow eventually. But sometimes, is it really worth? Like, imagine if I said to you right now, when you get to 90 years old, you'll get $1 billion. Okay, is it worth ruining 80 years of your life to get to $1 billion? Fuck no. No way in the world. You've just wasted 80 years to get what? a materialistic goal that you thought was going to make you happy. Then you get your $1 billion, you live for another 10 years.
It's that.
A pretty good 10 years, I might add, but probably not enough to account for the 80 years that you've lost, being unhappy sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. That's huge for me anyway. That hits the spot home hard. Yep, 100%.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you get out of
Andy's
Luke's?
basically saying like time's worth more than money.
10 times.
Yeah, but I think some people owning a Lamborghini is not that bad.
Yeah.
It's like some people have to get to that stage or that item in their life to realize that it doesn't fulfill them and that there's something else that fulfills them.
Like I love my Lambo. I'm sure you love yours. Like I look at it every day and I go, I did that. It's beautiful, but I look at it more than I drive it. And I'm proud of it. But the reasons I bought it originally weren't probably the best reasons to have bought it. It's always been a goal too, so I'm happy I reached that goal. It was more of this is going to make me happy for the rest of my life, and it makes me happy looking at it and everything and driving it. But it's not an internal core happiness, and that's what I find. If anyone ever has this feeling of chasing things and putting their goalposts further ahead, is try one of these dopamine detoxes. Just stop for a week, pause everything, and then just focus on your health. Don't watch TV. Just focus. Have time with you, and then watch your body and brain reset. And you'll get so much happiness and enjoyment out of the simple things that you should have always been doing. Whether it's working out or whether it's when you get to watch Netflix again. And I find it crazy how much time we spend on our phones these days. I remember I was getting up for like 7 hours sometimes. I'm like, this is messed up. So I've been purposely trying to spend as little time as possible. And
Go get a 3310.
yeah, that's big.
Knock your 3310.
Yeah.
Get back to
Bounce, little bounce. Yeah.
Tell you.
So did you do the dopamine? Have you done a mild dopamine detox yet?
Yeah, I did it for about 5 days.
How'd it go?
Like,
What'd you
the first
do?
3 days were the worst thing ever. Yeah, I only lasted 3 days.
So what'd you do to do it? So obviously you didn't go to the extreme of selling everything, but obviously you would have gone
Oh,
to
no.
the extreme.
Like I said no Netflix, no Instagram, no
all the good
Facebook,
stuff.
absolutely. And then
No porn?
Well, after 3 days I caved in, so
At the start, no porn?
yeah, 3 days. No, 3 days.
That's good.
Cheers to that.
That's good.
3 days.
Can someone please top Luke up as well? We've already done about 3 loops in the bottle. And
Well,
Luke's,
because Luke's been
This
talking.
is my second one as well.
he's got all the good content.
Can you ask Tara to get some ice?
Thank you.
Queenie's on it.
Please.
Alrighty, so I've got a question that I've written down for you, Mr. Maguire. If you wouldn't mind answering it.
Sure.
What sort of legacy does Luke Maguire want to leave behind?
It's interesting. While I try to, I've always been about doing bigger and better and greater things. I've done, and a lot of stuff. The legacy I want to leave behind for me right now is purely for my family. I do a lot of things for different charities and people and randomly, but I don't often share them publicly. You'll go to my Instagram, you'll find things that I have shared publicly, like I helped rebuild the most underfunded school in America. It's called Kahuku High in Hawaii. It's actually The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's stunt double, Tunaway.
Oh, yeah.
His
stunt double
did.
Yeah.
He actually was training at World Gym when he was here filming at one
Yeah.
stage. It looks so much like him. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? I'm training next to The Rock, and it wasn't him.
Yeah,
it was his stunt double, but The Rock was in the room. It was just on the other side, but they look so similar.
They're cousins, so the first time I went to Hawaii, it was with my ex-partner, and this one I had no money to my name. And Tunaway said, you can come stay with us. And they really brought me into the Polynesian culture. And I saw how beautiful they just accept anyone that has the good vibes and the good mana, and they just love. And I said to myself, if I can ever give back, this is a community I want to give back to. So I went over there and helped rebuild. Yeah, it's like a lot of the school there, brand new gym. The gym that they had there was from The Rock's grandparents. Trained in that gym, so that it hadn't been updated since. Like the bench was literally just gaffer tape wrapped around the metal pole. It was that old. So things like that. But I'd love to leave a legacy back with my kids. I feel like I'm the last person in my family as well to have a chance to continue my family name on. So there's a bit of pressure there. Otherwise, the Maguire family is gone.
You're the only male.
Yeah.
You just better hope that you don't get with a female that wants to keep her last name or something like that?
No, that's not happening.
So you got one rule.
Yeah.
You got to explain last name. And can I just say as well, we were talking about such dark stuff before, and it was so deep, and there was a storm behind you. But now, the skies have cleared. The skies have cleared.
Seriously.
It's like
It was thundering.
yeah. This isn't a screen either.
I was
This is
gonna say it's like a big old green screen here.
Nah, this view cost 100K.
it's a CD
The
screen.
Hollywood CGI team to come here.
Start talking positive, you get positive results.
Yeah.
You can't even make this shit up. So you were saying that your main legacy is to leave, obviously, a positive impact for your family, make them proud.
And I
Yeah.
want to impact as many lives as I can,
Cool.
both with my business and also.
How many people? Give me a number. What do you think is possible?
I reckon 50.
Billion.
Nah, 50 million.
50 million?
I've already got over 300,000 paying customers monthly right
Yeah.
now. Our customers as a whole probably over 700,000. Like I think it'll be easy in the next 20, 30 years. I think the way the technology is going, you just reach more and more people every day, right? But I like by impact, I don't mean just people seeing me. I want people that I've impacted them and done
and
something
help
for
them.
them with their life,
Yep.
however it may be. Yeah.
And why don't you think you'd be able to impact 500 million people?
Why don't I?
Why don't you think you'd be able to reach to that level? What do you think's stopping you from hitting that level?
I'm just looking at numbers right now because over the past couple of years I've done almost probably $1 million over the past 5 years in terms of paying customers that have actually got results and have used my stuff. But if I look at that over the next 50
Historical
years,
data.
it'd be good to do 500 million.
But you know, your what's the word? You're innovating in that social media space. Social media is expanding faster than anything we've ever seen before, as from a connection point of view and people. I truly think, I truly think that if you keep going on the same path, like if we talked about this 15 years ago or 12 years ago, your impact probably would have been completely different. You probably would have said, "Oh, my goal is 5,000 people to impact." But now with the way social media's gone, like prime example, look at fucking TikTok. All right, you get these young girls, 18, 17, 16-year-old girls, literally copying audio and a video and doing a dance to it, and they're reaching fucking hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Millions of people. I'm just talking like starting off though. Like,
if you're talking about people in China, they have like 10 million, 50 million easily.
But they're like they're more up there with like more influence. I'm talking like people just like starting off. They just get such traction.
It's crazy.
And like 10,000, 20,000 people. Like if we try to get 20,000 people to view our Instagram posts, you'd have to be an influencer. There's no way that you could do that. You know whether you could do it organically. Look at TikTok. It's like wildfire.
Yeah.
So I think that where Luke is going with everything and what you're doing, me personally, I think you'll hit 500 million without a fucking doubt because of how fast technology is rolling. It's
crazy how it's going. And with that TikTok, it's because they're not lowering your reach like Instagram and Facebook does because they want you to pay for ads.
Yeah, they're
TikTok
helping
is
you.
dominating because of that, giving you that reach. They're giving people the chance, and people that would never previously have had a chance to go viral anywhere are now going viral on TikTok. People there's this TikTok page that has like 1 million followers, and he just spray paints lines on the road because he's so perfect at painting them straight. People love it. It's therapeutic to them. And I've actually created this TikTok software. It's called Talk Suite, and it's kind of like the Instagram tool that I said that allows you to post, schedule, and find content and post from a computer for TikTok.
Yeah.
So previously there wasn't a tool for that, so we created the first tool that allows you to do that for TikTok. We're just holding off for the minute until we see what happens if it gets banned or not. Because if I launch it and have to refund
And then
everyone,
if it
it's
gets
going to be a
banned.
fuck around because
Because Apple or someone's trying to buy it, aren't they?
Yeah, Microsoft's trying to get involved. Apple's trying to get involved. It's crazy though. One of my developers, the developer for Advert Suite, he saw that opportunity when TikTok got banned in India, and he already had a mock-up plan for TikTok. He heard that it was going to get banned in India, so he built one. It's called Chingari, and it got 50 million downloads in 3 days after TikTok got banned in India. India's a huge market for TikTok.
Definitely.
I didn't know how big it was, but then he's gone from literally Like his business is doing good, but now he's got the biggest social media app in India, like overnight for one smart decision and acting on it when he heard something, you know. And that's what I see in this space as well. And I find often people say, I'm too old to be doing social media marketing. I'm too old for this. This is like my parents used to say it, but now they're on Facebook and Instagram. My grandma is 96 and she's on, and she's 99 actually, she's on Facebook. Wow. And she just creeps. She doesn't have a display picture or anything. She just creeps like the family does. But I honestly think because trends change so much, if people take advantage of any trend as it happens, they have just as good a chance as anyone younger. If they're older, they have a better chance, in my opinion, more life experience. Right?
For sure.
There's so many ways that you can dominate in the space online. That's my job as well, is to keep my finger on the pulse, because in that time when I was going to that party stage, I took my finger off the pulse, and then I watched people start to come in with new ideas and new things were happening, and I was still okay, but if I had to let it continue, I would have been obsolete now.
Too far behind.
Now might not work in 5 years, even in these 6 months, you know.
Did you find that if you sort of, like you said, had your finger off the pulse, okay, probably a better question. How do you keep your finger on the pulse? So what do you constantly do on a weekly or a monthly basis that keeps you up to date with the latest trends, and to be able to keep up with such a fastly evolving industry?
Yeah, as you said, it's literally moving faster than Dawn Fraser at the 1957 Olympics doing butterfly mate.
And that,
going fast,
Kathy Freeman doing the splits,
Kathy Freeman, Olympic puns left, right, and centre. No, it's for me, like in my space, I'm signed up to looking at the Facebook developers, Instagram developers, every development platform you can sign up to on any social network. So that's what I do. But as a general, and when you sign up to those platforms, they send you emails of what they have coming up, what new things they're going to be releasing. They'll give you test access to their APIs and the back end of what they're wanting to release. They'll give you first dibs on certain things. Like I saw Instagram yesterday is now released. So this is what I'll do. I'll see when something gets released. Like I saw Instagram's now have a shop button on certain Instagram pages. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is here. What can I do with this that'll help people get more traffic or more sales, or help leverage this or automate something in this process? For people in general, I would just say, really just know your market, know what space you're in, sign up to all your competitors and see what's happening, and then see what you hate doing. Whatever I hate doing, I'll see how can I automate this, or what's the fast way to do a solution. So that in a nutshell is that.
Cool. Awesome. What about you, John? You got a question?
JP,
sorry.
One I'm interested in, man. I've been in this space for years. I left it for a while to waste my life being a personal trainer. Don't ever be a personal trainer, people. So I wasted my life. It was fun at the time, but I've come back to the space. But when I was younger, I always had ideas of software, apps, all this shit, you know. Obviously, I was limited in knowledge to be able to do it myself. I go to Upwork and I got totally ripped off. The guy even wrote back to me, he goes, yes, I ripped you off on purpose and took my money and ran off. Upwork could do nothing about it at the end of the day. So it's not just me, anybody. What if there's somebody out there, viewers, that are going, I've got ideas. How do I implement, who do I find? How do I implement an idea or software or whatever? How do you go steps to get to that point?
Yeah, sure. So for me personally, when I first got started, I did go to Upwork.
Yeah.
I think it was called Elance back then.
Yeah.
And I was on there, and it's pretty good now in the sense it's changed over the years. There's like a rating systems and all that type of stuff. I'll do that. I would do that tactic I said earlier, where I write in the middle of the text, name 3 Australian animals as your first response, and be as detailed as possible in your proposal when you're trying to find a freelancer on one of these sites. Then I would literally, as your budget, have it as what you actually can pay, because then you'll only get people that will accept it for that price. And if they've read your proposal, then they should be able to do it that way. Then jump on a call before you move anywhere. Jump on a call with them, make sure they are the right people that you want to be working with. And the biggest thing I would say as well is find developers that have done something similar to your project. As soon as you find someone that says, everyone's now trying to create the Uber of this and the Uber of that. The Uber framework's not that hard. It's basically a location tracking service and a payment gateway and a message portal from a client and a sales side, like two sides. Simple. you can just rebrand that as many ways as you can. But if someone's created something similar like that already, they can use that framework and just rebrand it and tweak it, which will cost you way less than trying to rebuild something completely from scratch. But going out there and then setting a few milestones as well, so you only pay for each part of the process.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that's big, like especially for website development
Yeah.
stuff. I remember I got jammed so
Everyone's
hard on
been
the
jammed.
website. Yeah.
You get jammed all the time, mate.
Hey, it's only on Saturday. It's only on Saturday.
You sure about that? I'm gonna speak to the mic.
That's what he said.
So everyone can hear me.
I think touching on JP's question, if I didn't have any idea of what I want to do, if I didn't have any money, like we talk about this because we have a big audience that doesn't have much.
Sure, exactly.
We said, what would you do?
Yeah.
If you had to restart with, say, $1,000 to make $1 million, what would you do and how would you go about it? If, say, you didn't have the connections you had today, if you didn't have the knowledge you had today, how would you sort of start again to get to that stage?
Yeah, sure. Well, then this isn't self-promotion, but I would go to lukesworld.com and go check out the opt-in that I have there because I do have that exact question answered in a full webinar.
What's the website?
lukesworld.com.
We'll put that down below.
Yeah, and there's nothing to sell on this webinar, by the way. It's just to answer that question. If I'm doing online marketing, that's what I teach. So I would say e-commerce, local marketing, or affiliate marketing are 3 ways you can get started with absolutely like less than $100 in all 3 of these ways. You can get started and make some serious money online. The first online product I ever sold was through affiliate marketing. Someone told me to promote a product that has a need and not a want. So it was on. So I went on to ClickBank, which is a site where people list their products and you can promote them. There was this doctor that wrote this book on how to cure a yeast infection. I had no idea what a yeast infection was before I Googled it, and then it's pretty gross, and I feel sorry for women that have to go through that. But I sold this book on how to cure a yeast infection by ranking a site in Google, and then I made $47 from just referring a sale, and I was like, did I just sell a book on how to cure that? And then I've made money from that. So
you kind of learnt the skill of how to market.
On how to market. Marketing is the answer really to any form of sales. If you don't market, that's why you see the ShamWow make hundreds of millions of dollars, and you see the most beautiful, the most amazing product that gets nothing, right? So I learned to market, learn the basics to marketing, and then see which area you want to go. And then have a look at what your values are too. Like what is your core values? What are the things you're interested in? And you can create a business in that, in affiliate marketing, in local marketing, or in e-commerce as well. So when you're interested in something, you have a drive and a value behind it, it's going to be a lot easier to do.
Some people don't want to wake up every morning and market yeast infections.
No, God, no. I realised quite quickly that was not for me. But the support questions I got in, I was very unqualified for as a 17-year-old man. So, boy.
I guess I'll ask the last question before we wrap up this podcast. I think we've asked a lot of the business side of the questions to Luke. I'm going to ask something that's more personal. I think a lot of viewers, including ourselves, we want to be validated. Like that, as a human being, unless you don't fucking care about how people view you, every single day we want to be validated. How good looking we are, how successful we are, and everything else. I loved your story. To be very honest, I was focused on your story the whole time. I want to know, like, how do you get validated nowadays compared to back then? You know, driving nice cars, going out clubbing, taking friends into the club. You know, you feel like you're the man. But how do you feel like you're the man now? How do you get validated?
You know, it's a really good question. I worked this out through seeing my psychiatrist, and he said to me, he goes, "Look, Luke, why do you give so much? Why do you do all this stuff?" And I said, "Look, I feel I get general gratification out of helping people." And he's like, yeah, but obviously at some point you would have been doing this to feel this insecurity of trying to get validated, right? And when I became aware of that, I said, why don't I love me 100% for me? Why do I need other people to make me feel good? And when I stopped and I paused and I really realized what my value set is, what I bring to the table, when I really learnt these things about myself, and who I was as a person, that then gave me my own self-love. And from that, it really helped me to go around but back to what you were saying about how, sorry, can you say that last bit?
How do you get validated?
Yes, I get validated, yeah. So now what I do is, I wake up and I'll give to people, but I don't overgive. And that's what I used to do. I used to overgive to people and over-deliver to people to an extreme that they're then put in a position where they feel forced to then like me. They feel, whether it's subconscious or not, they feel forced to then say, oh, I'm going to ask Luke for lunch tomorrow because he did all this stuff for me. And then that they might think they're doing it because they like me, but they're doing it because it's just a mental subconsciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what I do, and my psychiatrist said to me, he goes, what would happen if you don't overgive? And then you see who's actually just going to call you for lunch and whatnot anyway. And just for the person you are and your values. So that's how I validate myself now, which is weird because it's hard for me not to just give 100%, but I found that it is actually giving my 100% by not making someone else feel forced to return anything in favor. So yeah, that's what I was
Totally
about.
get that.
Yeah.
And I feel the same.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a very interesting podcast. Thank you for coming
We'll
on,
put
Luke.
all Luke's details below.
Absolutely.
wanna-
Please follow Luke.
Yeah, definitely.
Why can't be inspirational?
It's just at LukeMaguire.com on Instagram, or my website is lukesworld.com. I've been trying to buy LukeMaguire.com for about 10 years. I've offered him every year. I've offered him $1,000 more. I've got $12,000, no answer.
I'm going to give you a little short tip here, right? I'm going to charge you. It's only going to be $100.
I don't want your short tip.
Put Mr. at the front.
Mr. Luke Maguire.
Mr. Luke Maguire. Done deal. I haven't checked, but it could be a thing. I was like, what could you put into it that would actually work?
That's
with
a
the
bad
name?
Buy that straight away from leaving.
Yeah. All right, make sure you park that website.
Don't tell him either.
I believe a guy called Fabio. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Luke.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Luke.
And thank you for being our first guest.
It was a great pleasure.